My husband's best friend's wife, Allie, worked at the same company I do. We are not very close because I always felt that she didn't like me. Anyway, apparently she had a crush on my husband. My husband and I often get invited to parties at their house, but I didn't go to Allie's 40th birthday last August. She had a huge party, but I was just starting with my worst morning sickness period, which nobody told me were not only reserved for mornings. Allie made a move on my husband and he got very upset and turned her down. Allie got angry and told him that everyone was doing it. All married couples cheat. Her husband was cheating and I was cheating. She told him it was a colleague of mine, a colleague my husband already disliked. When my husband got home, he was drunk and very upset. He confronted me, and I told him it wasn't true, but he slept in the sofa. A couple of weeks later, he told me to move out. Apparently, Allie provided my husband with information about my infidelity, late working hours, etc. I was shocked and had nowhere to go, so I moved in with my parents. My parents thought I was cheating too, and I felt like they had to take me in. I never felt so hurt in my life. How could my husband so simply believe such thing about me? Then he demanded a paternity test. In November, my husband found out the truth when another friend's wife told her husband what Allie did. My husband apologized and was devastated and wanted to make it up to me. He told me when Allie told him he didn't believe her. Then he found out that she was telling the truth about her husband being an adulterer, so he thought she was telling the truth about everything. If I wasn't pregnant, I would never have taken my husband back, but I just don't want my baby to be born without his parents being together. I love my stepdad, but he never loved me like he did his biological children, my half-siblings, and it gave me a lot of pain growing up. I moved back home a month ago, but we are still in therapy. But nothing feels the same. I don't even know what I feel about my husband. Sometimes I love him, sometimes I don't. He's trying to make me happy again, but he feels my change. Last time we made love, he kept telling me to come back to him, and then broke down crying while we were still intimate because I wasn't there, and he started blaming himself. I don't know what to do. I know I'm being a bit distant and it's not intentional. I need this to work, not only for our son but for us too. Help me find my way back to how it was, or at least give me ways to cope and try to live with the knowledge that things may be a bit worse moving forward. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Sounds like you need his and hers therapists and a couples to complete the hat trick. That's if you really think you want to make this work, and I'd give that some serious thought. If this was a complete departure for him, maybe that's worth it. But if you can't find it in yourself to forgive him, don't stay for the sake of the baby. Modeling an unhealthy relationship isn't going to be any better for your child than growing up with parents who are separated. Model happiness for your baby instead. Possibly relevant, did he cheat too because he thought you had? I understand everything you're saying. I just feel that I want this to work. We are in couples counseling and he is in therapy since everything happened. He didn't cheat exactly since we were divorcing, but he withdrew it when he found out I wasn't lying. But yes, he had slept with people. Something I can't shake off my mind every time he comes near me. He was pretty quick to distrust you and start sleeping with other people. I definitely think you need therapy, both separately as individuals and as a couple. But I don't think you should have to speed your healing. He betrayed you and destroyed your trust in him, while also harming your relationships with others. You are staying because your stepfather wasn't a good step-parent. Some people are amazing step-parent. Having a child is not a good reason to stay in a broken relationship. This will hurt the child way more than having divorced parents. Your husband didn't trust you. He put someone else's word over yours. He broke his vow done during marriage that you would be his partner and him yours. That you would be a team. He threw you out while pregnant, not even knowing yet if the kid was his. He had no right, as it is a marital home. I think it is a big mistake to go back to him, especially given your reasons. I was married to a wonderful man for 10 years. He passed away in a car accident when our children were 6 and 4. When I remarried 5 years later, my new husband had an 11-year-old son. So our children are now his son, 15, my son's 15, 13, and our daughter, 3. His parents set up a trust fund for his first son and for our daughter. I asked if they were doing anything for his 2 step-kids, and he said it was unfair to ask them to set money aside for kids that just came into the family. I accepted his answer, because my older kids have money from their dad's life insurance, so they have a good nest egg already. My first husband's parents are great people, and I've accepted my stepson and my daughter as bonus grandkids. They have made an effort to treat them well and always include them in gifts for the family and on their birthdays and Christmas. My parents have also made an effort to be nice, but they're more standoffish with my stepson. They have a cordial relationship and always send him gifts and invite him along on family events. My parents just sold their farm and are splitting the proceeds amongst all of my siblings and I. All the grandkids are also getting some money. The amount that my 2 sons and my daughter are receiving is about 5 times the amount that is in a trust fund that my stepson and daughter got from my husband's parents. My husband is now saying that it isn't fair that 3 of the kids are getting so much more. I said that it wasn't my money and that my parents could decide for themselves how it should be split up. He thinks that all the money for the kids should be pooled and split evenly. I refuse to even try and get into the legality of it. It is literally not my money. He says that I'm being an a-hole for singling out my stepson, but I just keep saying it isn't my decision. I approached my parents and they said that the most they would do is split up my daughter's money with him since they are half brother and sister. That would mean that she gets less than her brothers. I just want to leave everything alone. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. So your new husband thinks your kids don't deserve his parents' money, but his kids do deserve your parents' money? Am I reading this correctly? No, he wants to pool all the money and split it evenly. But he only wants to pool the money now that your children will be receiving a much more abundant amount. Where was the offer to pool the money previously? He was complicit with the rules and asked you to be. So he should be complicit with the rules set forth by your parents. It's not your money to dictate who should receive it. When your kids are older, they can share as they see fit, or not. Info. Are they giving you and your husband the money to dole out to the kids? Or are they setting up a trust for each child that they can access when they hit a certain age? It is all being done through lawyers. I do not have access to the money set aside for my kids. It isn't real inheritance. It is a trust fund set aside for their futures. My money is also going into a trust where I can draw on the interest. As a farm, but it is really a farm corporation and it is being sold to an even larger one. But it is several full sections of prime agricultural land. They are keeping like 1,000 acres and setting up a wildlife sanctuary with only family cabins on it. It is a big deal, but I just want it over. The point more becomes that it really doesn't matter what your husband thinks or wants if the 2 of you don't have access to the trust. As in, you're not trustees. Does it suck? Kinda, yeah. Blended families have challenges, and this is one of them. But he needs to look in the mirror and rationalize how it was okay when it was his kids getting money and now it suddenly isn't. But ultimately, it doesn't matter since the only ones that can make changes are those in charge of the trust. Not the a-hole and big red flag about hubby. He's moving the goalposts here. He told you that your kids would be shafted in the deal from his folks and expected you to be okay with that, which you are. But now that the son is being shafted by the deal from your folks, it's suddenly not fair? Not how it works, bro. I, 21 male, live with my older sister, 23, and my 2 younger sisters, 17 and 15. My older sister currently has legal custody over our 2 younger sisters, and at one point even had legal custody over me when I was still a minor. She basically gained custody of us all when she was 19 because our mom was an addict. My mom is currently going through end-stage kidney failure, assumingly because all of those years of not taking care of herself caught up to her. When she first started going to dialysis about 5 months ago, she put me down as her emergency contact. And at first, I just sucked it up and dealt with it because she doesn't have anyone else in this part of the country. And my older sister doesn't talk to her for reasons you can't imagine. However, yesterday when the clinic contacted me and I had to pick her up, I informed her that she needed to put someone else down because I wouldn't be answering those calls anymore, after she had her family members leave threatening messages to my older sister. This angered her, and she started going on about why I didn't love her anymore and when I stopped loving her. So I told her the exact moment I stopped loving her and respecting her was when I was 13. I had just entered high school. I was big into football and the coach at the time was brutal. He was making us practice 2 times a day, at 5 a.m. and after school. I told her how I woke up one morning, and she passed out on the couch off of whatever substance she was using at the time, and my older sister, only 15 at a time, was freaking out because we had no food. We never had any food. She was freaking out thinking I was going to pass out from all of that practice and barely eating. I tried to assure her that I would be fine, but she went into that kitchen, grabbed the only things we had, which were 2-day-old almost burnt rice, salt, a can of green beans, and half a chicken breast, and made me and our siblings an entire fried rice meal. She made sure I ate that morning, and I ate that meal on my way to practice crying. She had to stay home from school that day like she did most days, to send younger sister off to school and to be there to pick them up. When I got home from school that day, my sister was in the kitchen cooking dinner, and there were some groceries in the fridge that she brought with the money that she got from selling her rings that our grandma gave her to some sketchy guy that used to hang out at the convenience store, all while Mom remained high and passed out. I told her that's when all love and respect for her vanished. She cried and told me that I was evil, that I'm having a moral conflict because I'm wondering if I should have been softer with her. Am I the a-hole? Info, my dad passed away of an overdose when I was 8, so he was really no better than my mom. Not the a-hole. You aren't evil. Your mother's neglect was. I wouldn't be answering those calls anymore after she had her family members leave threatening messages to my older sister. Time to go no contact with your mother and these family members. Good luck. Also, OP, I know there is some pressure because she's dying, but she left your life and role as a parent a long time ago. Do not feel guilt of any sort for cutting contact at this time. You can continue to make peace with what role she played in your life on your own. You do not need to subject yourself to more of it. Release yourself from that responsibility. Agreed. If she wants you to be at her deathbed but she never apologizes, don't go. You're letting her trample all over you one last time in her own way. You're letting them get their say on the way out without ever showing contrition. Someone here recommended the book Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents, and it helped me. Try it. You have a lot of resentment. Write a letter to your mom and your dad if he's around, with all your feelings in it, and then burn it for catharsis. As you watch the flames, focus on letting go of that hurt and resentment. Thank you for the recommendation. I'll definitely look into getting that book. As for our dad, he passed away of an overdose when I was 8. In this vein, I've found specific support groups online to be really helpful. General subs like this are a good gut check, but for the really specific stuff and having a safe place to voice your feelings, as a good community will have extremely no-nonsense and active mods, is huge. Just do a vibe check first. Some keywords would be adult children of addicts, and definitely read up on sidebars/intros to see if a particular place resonates with you and your experiences. Everyone's situation is a little different, and that kind of neglect will impact people in different ways even within the same family. Find a group that offers the support that you need. Last story. The children I babysit has a father that makes me feel so unsafe. I, female 17, have been babysitting for this family for a while now, as they are 2 young parents working full-time, with 2 young children aged 1 and 3. I previously mentioned that I would be happy to assist with other tasks as well, such as grocery shopping and other things. But for the time being, all I've been asked to do is watch the kids. The kids' mother, as well as the kids, were leaving the country for a month, so the dad called me a few weeks ago to ask if I could help with cleaning the house since he was the only one home at the moment. He offered to pick me up the same day to simply look around the house and create a schedule, and I didn't give it much thought. Since I always did that when I was going to babysit, it wasn't unusual when he picked me up in his car. He instructed me in the car to keep the mother in the dark about this as his first instruction while telling me that I was very beautiful. Even though I agreed that it was a little strange, I kept my mouth shut. He stood me in front of the mirror as soon as we got home to check to see if I was taller than him. I felt uncomfortable as he held me around my waist to measure me. He showed me to mess around the house, and then we somehow got on the subject of my upcoming party, which led him taking out his wife's previous wedding dress, and then asked me to put it on and to borrow it to the party. I declined and pretended that we were pressed for time. He offered to drive me to school later and said we could eat something small first. He gave me a Snicker and we sat down. I got a little bit of chocolate on my lips, and he forcefully touched my lips to take it off. We got out to the car and he once again reminded me to not say anything to his wife. He held my hand whilst his Tesla was on autopilot mode, told me to stop talking to other men while he was holding my hand. I was so startled by this that I mentioned that I had a boyfriend, which is true. He said something along the lines of, well, I guess that is okay, just don't ask him for money. I can always fix that, and don't work for another family as we need you here. I didn't respond to his comment much because I was so horrified. He continued to hold my hand, placing his hand beneath mine and holding it as if he were going to kiss it. Another strange thing was that he repeatedly asked me when I would turn 18. He said we could go out to eat sometime because he was so alone now, with the kids and wife being gone before he dropped me off. I don't know. It freaked me out. Please give me any advice. Should I stop working for the family and never meet him again? Edit. I would also like to mention that after he told me to not tell his wife, he said that his wife would block him and get super angry if I was even there. I think they talked about me before, and I assumed that she said that she didn't want me to be there alone with him. I also texted my boyfriend while I was still in the car with him. Not even 10 minutes had gone by and I already had a list of 7 red flags. Now for the top advice. Tell your parents, and then talk to the wife with your parents there for safety. Never keep this kind of thing a secret. Tell her you can never work for her or her family again, and then block their number. You do not need a job that much to put yourself in a dangerous situation. And he even tried to offer money and be your sugar daddy? So gross. Stay safe. Don't ever go back there. Thank you. I talked to my parents as soon as this happened, and they also advised me to not go back and work for them. I'm a little sad since I really loved kids, and the wife is very sweet as well. But I think it's for the best since even worse things can happen if I hang out with them alone again. I'm glad you told your parents and that they have your back. Dude is a creep, and who knows what he was planning to do if you continue to work for him. He was definitely testing the waters and would probably demand an intimate relationship of some kind. I feel sad for his wife. I've taught my daughter that if someone says not to tell us something, it is not like a Christmas gift from our moms. We need to know right now. We haven't gone too far into the nitty-gritty due to her age, but I've told her more than once that people who want to keep secrets from her parents are dangerous. I said that while she doesn't have to tell me what she talks to her therapist about, and I mean that and don't push it, she does need to tell me if something feels wrong or unsafe because it's my job to ensure she's safe. So far, she actually has. It also tells me ahead of time when she feels she's done wrong because she needs help. The only way that worked any further was by honoring her safety and well-being before addressing breaking a rule. But it's important. She has to feel safe with me as her mom, or I can't help her out of danger.